everybody, and welcome to the show. Back in the seat, back in the seat. Last night I got a really cool experience. I got to go on with Tim Pool. Really, it was a neat experience. I want to thank Tim for having me down there. But the Timcast show, I mean, that's no joke, man. They got a little bit more of a production budget than we do here. But they don't have producer Ben, so... they're rock solid, but I'll put Ben up against anybody on the planet in terms of production quality. So, but it was a great experience. And one of the things that we talked about, and we kind of got into a lot of different things, is, where we are in America. And I want to really talk about this. I want to get into this because the reality is that we're really at the precipice in this country. We're at a point now where we're like, really looking at a legitimate possibility of civil war. And I'm sorry to say that. I don't want to say that. It's horrible. It's terrifying. But that's where we're at, right? We have leftists, Democrats, we have elected officials openly flaunting and ignoring the law of the United States. They don't care. They're literally breaking the law, and there's nothing being done about it. We're in a crisis situation, and the Trump DOJ is nowhere to be found. I am tired of us making excuses for this. We're at a point where you've got people like Benny Johnson, whose family's being threatened. And yeah, they arrested the guy on that, and that's great, but that's not enough. It shouldn't be anywhere near that point. We're not doing what's necessary to protect our country from lawlessness. The left is embracing lawlessness, and it's going to break down. And if we don't do something about it soon, we're going to be in bad shape. And we need to do it before the midterms, well before the midterms. There's only one way forward, in my opinion, and we're going to talk about that. We're going to get into all of it. It's a really big deal. So I hope you guys pay attention, and I hope you hit share. I hope you hit like, pound that button, like, share. We need that. Also, listen, we need your support. So I want to, I got to do my grift. Please help us, support us, back us. Go to givesendgo.com/Renslaw, givesendgo.com/Renslaw. Support us wherever you can. We need your help. We need your backing. Become a monthly donor if you can. If you can't, one-time donation. If you can give a lot, give a lot. If you give a little, we're grateful for whatever you give. But we need your donations. We need your support. They keep us fighting. We got the medical kidnapping stuff going on. We're pushing legislative initiatives. We're trying to get all sorts of things done. Need your help, need your support. So givesendgo.com/Renslaw. Also, go to TomRenz.com, www.TomRenz.com. You got to type TomRenz.com. You can't type Tom Renz. You won't find us. Check out everything. We're going to start posting some more stuff there and doing some more things there. And then also make sure you check out our shop. Check out our partners and affiliates. And if you go there, you'll see Block Trust, you'll see Dulce, you see all sorts of good guys. You got to check out the checkout code Renz. You get discounts with all these checkout codes. So make sure you're looking for these checkout codes, right? But scroll down today, and we want to highlight our friends today. Now, my friend Mark Sherwood is usually here with us Thursdays. He can't be here today. Kind of my fault. With some travel, all the things I had going on. Mark won't be able to join us today, but make sure you're checking out. It's a Kingdom Fuel complete meal shake, but it's not just Kingdom Fuel, right? Go to Sherwood.tv/Tom Renz. Anywhere you go with Sherwood.tv, just use Renz at checkout. But Mark and Michelle are my doctors, right? I love Kingdom Fuel. I love Kingdom Candy. All their products are great. I use that stuff, but also they're my doctors. Make sure you check them out. You just click on this. You click on Sherwood.tv/Renz, and then you click on the code, use code Renz, and it'll bring up the opportunity for you to use to make an appointment with them. Folks, they're good people. They're good doctors. They're not going to push a bunch of drugs on you and a bunch of stuff you don't need. They use whatever is necessary to make you healthy, to make you well, to keep you in shape. Wonderful people. Make sure you're checking out the Sherwoods and make sure you support them. All right. I want to get into it today. There is a lot to get into. And let me start out with this, right? So let me start out with this. Mitch McConnell fell on his head again. Now, listen, I'm going to show you this video. This video is actually, to me, I wanted to laugh at him, but I actually, when I saw the video, I kind of felt bad, to be honest with you. This is just, it's just sad. So this is Mitch McConnell walking through the basement of the Senate building. Ben, can we bring this up on screen? I want to share this video. This is, let me just show you this. It speaks for itself.
Go for it.
Here's McConnell. He's holding on to someone, which he ought to be. He's 109.
I want to ask, do you support ICE taking working people off the streets and kidnapping them?
I mean, I guess maybe the took over the rock. I don't know, just down, just crash. And naturally, there's someone there to film it. I mean, listen, I got to tell you, I wanted to make fun of this guy. But it just actually made me sad. I mean, look at that. It just made me sad. You know, this guy is, I believe he's actually 83 years old. I mean, this is sad, folks. Why is he still in the Senate? Why is he still there? Why don't we have a, mandatory retirement age? Why do we let these old geezers who are, do you really think that he understands what's happening? Do you really think he's representing our interests? I mean, obviously he's owned by Big Pharma and he's a sellout, and it's sad. We need to have mandatory retirement ages for our elected officials. I mean, there's no way this guy is adequately representing us in anything. He's kind of like electing AOC. You put the dumbest person on the planet there so that you can just manipulate and control them. But, this whole thing, it really just, like I said, it made me feel bad. But one of the things that you got to understand is this video, the person who was talking to Mitch was asking, do you support ICE taking working people off the streets and kidnapping them? Right? Working people, huh? You mean illegal immigrants, people who broke the law and who are here illegally. They asked Mitch McConnell whether he supports getting rid of people who are breaking the law, or whether he supports enforcing the law, in other words. This is pivotal, right? So whatever you feel about McConnell falling on his ass, what's the real question here and the real thing here, and what I want to focus on is, do you support taking people off the streets that are breaking the law, not working people? This reporter is a lying piece of crap who is misrepresenting the situation, but that's what the left does. These aren't working people. They may work, and they are people, and they deserve the respect that all people get, but they're lawbreakers. They're here illegally. That's the law, right? So it's very straightforward. If I trespass, right? If I just go onto your property and I do what I want to do and I want to squat there, if I want to squat in your home, that's illegal, right? So you want me removed. So I can't just go into your house and make it mine because that's illegal. Would you support me being removed from your house if I broke in? If I was there illegally? Of course you would. Well, this is no different. This is our country. The people who are here illegally are here illegally. Now, I feel bad for some of them who've been here for years and done this. Yeah, of course I do. But at the end of the day, they broke the law. They're not supposed to be here. We have to enforce our laws. But if we can't enforce our laws, we're not a country, right? I mean, what laws do you choose to enforce and which ones do you not? What if we choose not to enforce the laws against murder? I mean, we choose them. I guess we do. I mean, we let pharma do what they do. But at the end of the day, we're not. If we're not enforcing the laws, we don't have a government. We don't have a nation, and this is a profound problem. So I was looking, and Nick Sorter had a post out there today talking about ICE has just arrested an illegal immigrant who was an active Illinois police officer. What? An active Illinois police officer. Now, let's think about that. Nick says Illinois is literally arming illegals and having them enforce laws on citizens. Insanity. This falls squarely on J.B. Pritzker and the Democrats. And he's right. It does. 100% it does. This is a Democrat thing. The Democrats don't mind breaking the laws to stay in power. And this is something Tim and I talked about. What do you do to counter that? And, I take the position that, well, we need to enforce the laws. We should not do the same thing. We have to be the party of law. And I 100% believe that we do, because if we do what the Democrats do, then we're no better than they are. You don't want to become the thing that you're fighting, right? I don't believe that becoming the evil that you fight is the way to fight evil. And Tim agreed, I think. I mean, I don't want to speak for him, but yeah, we had a heck of a debate on that last night. If you didn't see the show, you should tune into it. It was a fun show. But we can't become the thing that we're fighting. If we're going to be the party of law and order, then we need to be the party of law and order. But imagine the absurdity of taking someone who is breaking the law and then giving them a gun and saying, you enforce the law against the people who aren't breaking the law. It's insane, right? It's kind of like how we feel. You ever drive down the highway and you see a state patrolman blow by you? You're driving, right around the speed limit. You slow down because you don't want to get a ticket. And then you see this jerk off state highway patrolman or whatever driving by 10 miles over the speed limit. And what are you going to do? Because they're the law, right? Well, we want our law enforcement to exemplify the law, not to break it. And when you see that, you're frustrated. Well, imagine having an illegal immigrant as a police officer. I don't want some illegal arresting me. Piss off. You're not even following the law yourself. Why do I want you arresting me? So this is an absurd situation, and it's what's happening across this country, and this is what the Democrats are pushing. So now let's go. We got another post here, a leading report put out today. 60% of young liberals are okay with breaking the law to oppose government actions they disagree with, such as ICE raids, according to a survey by Signal. 60%. Now, the problem is young liberals are idiots, right? I don't know how to say it. I'd love to say something else. I'd love to say, well, they're just misguided. No, they're idiots, right? And they are. There's no other way to look at this, because let's think about what they're doing. They're okay with breaking the law to oppose actions they disagree with. Okay, well, how do you decide what the law is then? If you're okay with ignoring the law, you want to ignore some but not others. Well, so I mean, would these same young liberals who are doing that, would they be okay with taking away their free speech rights? Would they be okay if we arrested them for supporting these actions? Would we be okay if would they be okay if we arrested them for being a part of Antifa? Would they be okay if we arrested? I mean, we probably ought to do that because Antifa is a terrorist group. But would they be okay if the police, instead of arresting them, just beat them? Right? Would they be okay with that? And the answer is obviously no. We don't want our police breaking the law. We don't want anyone breaking the law. But these idiot young liberals think, well, if I don't like the law, I'm going to break it. Okay, well, that isn't the way we work. If you don't like the law in this country, you change it. You can oppose it. You can speak out against it, but you can't just break it. And if you can break it, it's a slippery slope. There's no end to that. But that's where we are, and it's happening on a profound level, and it's not by accident. The reason that 60% of young liberals are okay with breaking the law is because groups typically funded by people like George Soros and these other billionaire crowd out there pushing an agenda and have convinced a lot of these young skulls full of mush, to take Rush Limbaugh's phrase, that it's okay to break the law if they disagree with it. It's not. You still have to pay the price if you break the law, or at least you're supposed to. That's what happens if we enforce our laws. Let's talk a little bit about how bad it's really gotten, right? So I did a search, incidents of violence against ICE over the last 3 months, right? So 3 months. Now, this isn't a complete list. It's not comprehensive, but here's a few things, right? July 4th, 11 individuals ambushed ICE officers with gunfire from AR-15s, fireworks used as cover, and projectiles. One officer was shot in the neck. FBI arrested 20 suspects by September, including a gunman who and those aiding in his evasion. DHS classified this as a domestic violent extremist attack. Okay, so that's one. July 7th, 2025, another Border Patrol facility. Man armed with an assault rifle, Ryan Lewis Mosqueda, fired multiple rounds, injuring 3 agents as part of a 700% surge in assaults reported by ICE. That's July 7th. July 10th. ICE raid, Carmelo, California. Protesters clashed with agents during a raid on a cannabis farm. Federal agents blocked demonstrators. Iraq war veteran George Rates was arrested by ICE while working security. Late July 2025, Portland, Oregon, ICE facility. Rioters assaulted agents with fireworks, knives, rocks, and debris. Facility under repeated attacks. DHS reported escalation from property damage to direct violence. Rep. LaMonica McLaver charged with felony assault after Newark protest spillover. So we got late July. August 2025, multiple locations. DHS reports 830% increase in assaults on ICE officers, including dragging an agent with a car in California, assaulting 3 officers in the Bay Area facility, and violent mob attacks in Portland. 79 assaults in the first half of 2025 alone. August 2025, Dallas ICE field office bomb threat reported, part of a broader pattern of threats and vandalism. September 22nd, 2025, Broadview, Illinois ICE facility. Illinois is a real peach. 70-year-old Air Force veteran Dana Briggs charged with felony assault on federal officer after incident outside the facility. September 19th, same place. Far-left extremists mobilized to attack agents. Woman blocked vehicle, was maced, thrown to the ground, shot with sting balls. Mob hurled objects. DHS criticized sanctuary officials for provoking rioters. Folks, this just goes on. I mean, there's so many more shootings, violence, all this stuff. I'm skipping a whole bunch of them. October 10th, back in Broadview, Illinois. Protesters waved Mexican flags after violent attack. 10 cars rammed. Agents. One assailant fired semi-automatic weapon, was shot. Chicago PD left scene. They left. Which is why Trump is, calling in the military and doing everything. So let's talk about this, right? I mean, the chaos is exploding. This isn't just a little bit. These are people who are actively attacking law enforcement, actively attacking people who are putting their lives on the line to enforce our laws and keep us safe. The left is attacking the people who put their lives on the line to keep us safe. Think about that. They hate the blues so much, they hate law enforcement so much that they're willing to attack and even potentially injure or kill law enforcement to try and promote their agenda. And again, 60% of young liberals think it's okay to break the law to push their nonsense, right? Why is this happening? Well, let's talk about this. Governor J.B. Pritzker has issued orders and filed lawsuits to block National Guard deployment. Issued orders and federal troops in Chicago. He's warned ICE agents of future prosecution. He's called raids thuggery. So, I mean, this guy's going on and on. Now, the federal law is very clear. It's illegal for you to be here illegally, right? I mean, this isn't complicated. Duh. But yet Pritzker is out here actively promoting and pushing people to break the law, right? Mayor Brandon Johnson of Chicago, he declared a, quote, resistance against federal agents. He ordered police not to respond to ICE calls. He sued to block troop deployment. He forecasted a, quote, civil war rematch, created ICE-free zones. Folks, do you know what that really is? That is Mayor Brandon Johnson breaking the law. He is aiding and abetting criminals. He's interfering with law enforcement. There are a number of laws that he's breaking. Same with J.B. Pritzker. How about the Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors with Lindsay Horvath and Janice Hahn declaring a state of emergency over ICE raids and claiming that the county has got to basically do everything it can to oppose ICE. Again, interference with federal law enforcement. They're breaking the law. Listen, I go down. You got Michelle Wu from Boston. You got Karen Bass from California, L.A., lots of Oregon mayors, Seattle mayor, Portland mayor, a bunch of state reps. AG of Illinois, St. Paul. I mean, over and over and over again, we're seeing the same thing. These guys are openly flaunting the law. They're actively calling on people to break the law and to ignore law enforcement and to do whatever they want to do, illegal actions, right? To shield illegal immigrants, to shield this illegal behavior, and to shield all that's going on. Folks, what they're doing is breaking the law. Now, you may ask yourself, if they're breaking the law, what do we do about this? I mean, this is bad, right? Because one of the things you got to think about is, so if we start arresting people and doing this, well, what's going to happen? Well, there's going to be more violence, right? So what do? Stand down and let the laws be destroyed? This is literally the definition of an insurrection. I don't know how else to say it. You've got it, folks. Where's our DOJ? Where is our DOJ? They're not doing anything, and they need to be doing something about this. But Pam Bondi won't do anything at all. Okay, so let's talk about an insurrection. Let's talk about what this is. 18 U.S.C. 2383 states, and this is a direct quote, whoever incites, sets on foot, assists, or engages in any rebellion or insurrection against the authority of the United States or laws thereof, or gives aid or comfort thereto, shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 10 years or both, and shall be incapable of holding any office under the United States. This is what an insurrection is, right? Now, there's key elements to this, right? Revolt against authority of the United States, right? Which is inherent if you're claiming that the U.S. doesn't have authority under the law to do these things. It's that's part of it. Use of threat or violence, collective action, intent. These are elements that you have to do. But this is what's happening. We're literally seeing elected officials call for insurrection. This is 100%. Now they're breaking the law, right? And then there's ancillary charges, conspiracy to commit insurrection. If this is being done, if there's money being passed, there's different things occurring, then you have potential RICO charges. There are a ton of tools under the law to deal with this, but it's not being done. Why can't our DOJ do it? They can. They won't. They are not getting it done. This is Pam Bondi's responsibility, and she is failing miserably. We're moving towards a civil war, and our DOJ, instead of going after the heads of the snake, instead of arresting people, I would argue J.B. Pritzker could potentially be arrested. Certainly the mayor of Chicago, the people in charge of L.A., these guys I would argue they could be arrested. I think there's probable cause for a number of things: RICO, conspiracy, insurrection, there's a bunch of different things that these people could potentially be charged with. Why aren't we doing it? Why are we letting them continue to threaten and to commit and to promote acts of violence against our law enforcement? Why are we allowing our people, our law enforcement, our brave agents who are doing what they need to do, why are we allowing them to be attacked, shot at, attempts to kill them? Why is this happening? I mean, we've seen calls for the murder of our law enforcement agents, of people even like Kristi Noem has been threatened. Pam Bondi won't even stand up to make sure that people like Kristi Noem aren't threatened. Pam Bondi won't do a damn thing. She's an epic failure. I'm sorry, this is an incredible failure. Pam Bondi, who was clearly put there by Chief of Staff Susie Wiles, who is one of the most incompetent, well, I would say not incompetent, apparently corrupt people I've ever seen, as demonstrated by the fact that this sort of nonsense. I mean, if it's not Susie Wiles, who is it? If it's not Pam Bondi, who is it? I mean, Pam Bondi's clearly an issue. I mean, she's in charge of DOJ. What's going on here? Now, that's all an issue, but at the end of the day, Donald Trump's the president. And we elected Trump to get this stuff done. Trump needs to either fire these people or get them moving. I don't care which, but we're finally announcing, well, we're going to investigate George Soros. Why? So that we can, charge him with nonsense that doesn't matter, like we did Comey. Comey's going to get off scot-free unless they have a superseding indictment and do something real with this. I mean, they've already blown that case, in my opinion. Mark my words, he will not see any real prison time in a real prison unless something dramatic is done differently. Right now, it's like a joke. John Brennan, we're going to arrest John. How about the mayor of LA? How about the mayor of Chicago? How about these people? Should they be investigated and potentially charged? Maybe, I would say. But our DOJ won't do that. How about J.B. Pritzker? How about Ilhan Omar? Should they be investigated? Should they be now? Ilhan Omar's got speech and debate clause, so there might be some shielding there. I don't know. We'd have to figure it out. But a number of these people ought to be, especially the state and local officials, they're not subject to speech and debate, and they certainly are subject to arrest for inciting an insurrection. Now, the other thing to look at is, let's talk about the Insurrection Act, because everybody keeps talking about the Insurrection Act, and Trump's talked about the Insurrection Act, and I don't like the Insurrection Act, right? It's terrifying to me to think that we would have to have our military take charge of policing in our country in any way, shape, or form. But again, let's look at the definition of an insurrection. Inciting or assisting or engaging in rebellion or insurrection against the authority of the United States, or aiding and abetting it, is an insurrection, right? So, particularly if you're using violence or the threat of violence. Well, they're using the violence and the threat of violence. I mean, they're obviously promoting what can only be called an insurrection. And remember also, some of the people doing this aren't even allowed to be here legally. I mean, we have illegal immigrants. I mean, at some level, is this actually war? I mean, you have foreign invaders in our country rebelling against the U.S. government when they don't even belong here. Is that legal? No. Is there any justification for it? No. If you're aiding, abetting in that situation, are you assisting in treason? Are you committing treason? Are you supporting a foreign government or I don't know, maybe. There's certainly an argument to be made. I mean, this may be worse than insurrection. This may actually be treason on some levels. I don't know. But what I do know is that there's room for us to do something if our DOJ would actually do it. They can charge these people. And, on some levels, I don't support the use of the Insurrection Act broadly, but we're at a point now where Chicago, LA, Portland, maybe, because let's talk about the Insurrection Act, right? So the Insurrection Act allows the president to use the military or National Guard in insurrections, rebellions, and domestic violence, right? So let's read Section 251 of the Insurrection Act. Whenever there's an insurrection in any state against its government, the president may, upon the request of the legislature or the governor, if the legislature cannot be convened, call into federal service such militia of any state and use such of the armed forces as he considers necessary to suppress the insurrection. Okay. Now let's go to that's state, right? But let's talk about Section 252 of the Insurrection Act. Quote, whenever the president considers that unlawful obstructions, combinations, or assemblages or rebellion against the authority of the United States makes it impracticable to enforce the laws of the United States in any state by the ordinary course of judicial proceedings, he may call into federal service such of the militia of any state and use such of the armed forces as he considers necessary to enforce those laws or to suppress the rebellion. Are we at that point? Does the fact that these judges who are they're just completely ignoring the law. Some of these judges they're not following the law. I'm sorry, I don't know what else to say about it. Now, some of these judges are in no way, shape, or form acting as judiciary, an impartial arbiter of justice. So, is that part of it? I mean, some of these judges have ties to Antifa, ties to family members. I mean, they're required to actually recuse themselves under the existing law, and they won't do it. I would argue Section 252 probably applies in a number of these cases, right? So, does the Insurrection Act apply here? Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe. Can the president, do something about Portland? Now, listen, you look at places, some of these places, I mean, there's severe and extreme violence against it. This is literally the definition of an insurrection. It may actually be an act of war because, like I said, some of these are foreign nationals who don't belong here or are here illegally and are essentially acting as foreign military assets. I mean, some of them are tied to the cartels. We've seen the cartels threaten. We've seen all these different things. I mean, this is outright just an insurrection. I don't know how else to define it. No, it's not nationwide. There should be no nationwide declaration, but locally, in a number of places, I think the Insurrection Act applies. Section 253, the president, by using the militia or armed forces or both, or by any other means, shall take such measures as he considers necessary to suppress in a state any insurrection, domestic violence, unlawful combination, or conspiracy, if it so hinders execution of the laws of that state and of the United States within the state, that any part or class of its people may be deprived of the right, privilege, immunity, or protection named in the Constitution secured by law, and the constituted authorities of that state are unable, fail, or refuse to protect that right, privilege, or immunity, or give that protection, or opposes or obstructs execution of laws of the United States or impedes the course of justice under the laws. In any situation covered by Clause 1, the state shall be considered to have denied equal protection of the laws secured by the Constitution. Section 253 almost certainly applies, in my opinion, to a number of these things. That allows the president to take action. This isn't, in my mind, debatable. This is the plain language of the law. Despite what these judges, some of these crooked leftist judges, are saying. You got Section 254 includes a proclamation to disperse, which the president can do that. Listen, Trump's got the authority to take care of some of this stuff. I've been very, very hesitant to this point to say, let's do it. And I'm not a big fan of the military coming in, but we do have that ability. The real question I have is why isn't our DOJ doing something so we don't have to use the military? It's almost like they're promoting it. Now, if we start, sitting the military out on this, we're going to have some real issues, right? If we send the military out, I mean, that could provoke Civil War type situation. We might have no choice. But why isn't the DOJ doing something about this? They can. There's clear language in the law that allows them to do whatever we need to do on this, but they won't act. The Pam Bondi DOJ is failing to protect our country. I don't want to hear Kash Patel tell me about how many arrests of low-level thugs he's having. I want to hear about how they're cutting the money supply to Antifa. This is an organized thing. This is a RICO conspiracy. 100% RICO applies everywhere. I have not heard any even rumblings of RICO charges from the DOJ. Nothing. I'm seeing nothing come out of the DOJ on this. How are we going to end this? The immigration issue is the issue for Donald Trump. I mean, if there's one issue that got him moving and that he's been behind, it's immigration, and yet we're failing miserably on this. We have all sorts of people participating in these RICO actions, essentially, or it looks like RICO action, very much. And conspiracy to commit insurrection, the conspiracy charges alone on this, even if we can't show a full-fledged RICO organization, which we can. I mean, give me an hour and some time on the internet, and I can give you the evidence to support RICO charges. So, I mean, that leads you to the question: why can't the DOJ? But the conspiracy charges are manifest. There's no question there's a conspiracy to commit insurrection. You literally have elected officials calling for it and using state law to facilitate it, or local law, declaring an emergency so that you can, like LA did, to facilitate law breaking is, in my opinion, a demonstrable action showing conspiracy to commit insurrection. They're rebelling against the laws of the United States. What else is this, folks? I mean, I don't know. To me, this is as clear as day. I don't see why we're having a hard time understanding this. It's obvious. Listen, we have right in front of us declarations of violence. We have all sorts of issues going on, and yet nobody's doing anything about it. Why, folks? Why? Now, I'm looking at the comments here. We've got a lot of people that are apparently fired up about this. I mean, we got Blasted Genetics, military is the only way. Now, I don't know, Blasted. I'm going to tell you. And I'm looking at the comments here. And by the way, jump in the comments. I want to talk to you guys about this stuff. I want your opinions. I'm very curious what everybody's thinking about this. We have a situation where we're trying. To me, we have to do everything possible to keep the military out. I really do. I think we've got to do everything possible to keep the military. I don't want the military to take control any more than they have to. But I don't disagree with Blasted Genetics that the military may be the only option, right? It really could be, because I don't know what else we're going to do here. It's quite obvious to me that nobody is going to, I mean, the DOJ isn't doing anything. And if they, if we start really going after this, we're going to see there's a great potential for violence. If we start arresting and, taking real action, I think we're going to end up needing the military to keep this, under wraps. But, I mean, where do we go with this? And Blasted Genetics just made a great point. He said, I used to think that, but corrupt federal judges. You're right. I can't argue with the corruption in the courts, but I would ask this. If a judge acts outside of the scope of his role, so the judges have almost complete immunity under the law, right? If they're acting within the scope of their role as a judge. But I would ask you this. I would ask you guys this. If a judge is ignoring the law openly and flaunting the law, does that immunity still apply? Now, under the law, a lot of elected officials, a lot of federal officials, people have immunity when they're acting within the scope of their office, right? But what if they're not? What if they're flaunting their power? What if if you take a bribe? What if you just said there are things that can allow you to kind of pierce that immunity? If you're a federal judge and you're supporting an insurrection openly by ignoring and flaunting the rule of law, can we prosecute you? And Front Rav says it feels like the deep state is there. Yeah, they are. I mean, that's kind of what's happening here. But the only way to take the deep state out is for us to start prosecuting them. And we got to start prosecuting high up. We got to start going after the elected officials at the top. We got to start going after the billionaires at the top. And it's not happening. I'm concerned that we're on the verge of a civil war. I think the Democrats are pushing for it. And we're coming to a point. I mean, we know that the Democrats want the illegals here so they can help steal the elections, right? I mean, that's a big part. They want them here for a lot of reasons, but we're coming up on the midterms, folks. We don't have that much more time. At all. Front Rob asked the real important, says, I'm a scrub, what can we do? Well, you can share, first of all. Please make sure you're sharing this. The reason that's important is because you're not a scrub, Front Rob. Buy bullets to protect your family. But you're not a scrub. Let me be real clear about this. The reason I get censored is because the idea that a nobody like me could do the stuff that we're doing is a big deal, right? You know, I fought back hard on the COVID. I'm fighting back hard on a lot of things, and I'm a nobody. I live in Fremont, Ohio, 12,000 people. I'm not a big shot, right? That's a threat. It's the scrubs they're afraid of, right? If we start getting together and we start pushing things, we got to get the word out there, right? We've got to get ourselves together. We got to get organized. We have to take a stand against this. The globalists, the billionaires, the people behind this, the people who buy our politicians, the people who are behind it, they're terrified that we, the people, come together and take steps on this. Yeah, that's why they do what they do. But we have to start sharing this message. We have to start getting it out there. We need to start having an open conversation on a national level. Yeah, I talked about being on Tim Pool last night. That is foundational because Tim Pool is a huge audience. And we got to talk about Bondi's failure. We got to talk about what's happening. We got to get the word out there on a very profound level. We have to get the word out there. That's the most important thing. The reason I do this show is to get the word out there, right? The Republicans can't be the solution if they're not willing to be the solution. Now, granted, the Republicans are better than the Democrats, but the Republicans aren't fixing the problem. They're facilitating. They're allowing it to happen. And God help me for saying this, but the Trump administration's complicit. I love Donald Trump, but they aren't doing anything. He's not getting the job done on this. We're allowing this violence to occur without. This is his issue. Immigration is Donald Trump's issue. Where is he on this? Where is he? How is he allowing this on? We can charge these people. You don't have to be a genius to do this. You just have to be willing. The DOJ has every capacity to do this. Look at how fast they rounded up J6ers, but they aren't. Why? Because they don't want to, folks. They don't want to. So anyways, I'm worried. I'm worried about our kids. I'm worried about our future. I'm worried about what's happening. I'm worried about whether or not we can survive this as a country. We're approaching Civil War levels. And it's something that we've got to get it fixed. Anyways, there's a lot more to be said on this. We need to make this an issue. We need to continue on this. But I wanted to address this. I thought it was a big deal last night that we were talking about it. I was really happy to see people hit it. All right, let's move on to some other stuff, right? By the way, let's just move on. All right, so Texas Governor Abbott, Greg Abbott. Greg Abbott is not MAGA. I'm sorry. This guy is not good. He between his Sharia law compounds, he keeps facilitating. Texas, what are you doing? Why is this guy here? This guy is not doing it. He's not getting it done. He's promoting all sorts of things that are ridiculous. We really, really, really need to look at this Abbott. Abbott is not a good animal. He just signed Senate Bill 2420, right? What does that do? This is a big deal, folks. I want you guys to hear this. 2420 requires app stores like Apple and Google to verify users' age and obtain parental consent, blah, blah, blah. Why is that important? What's going to happen now is you've got Real ID. Real ID is a legally verified identification, so it can be used. Once you use Real ID, it's a verified identity under federal law, right? They're going to start requiring you to show proof of identification with your cell phones, right? You're going to have you prove who you are. That means that everything that you do on that cell phone is going to be tracked and traced, and it's going to be traceable through the Real ID. This is why Real ID was pushed, so they could track and trace you. Now, the government's going to claim they're not tracking and tracing you. because all they did was create the Real ID. But the legal ramifications of Real ID is that it's a federal ID, right? So you combine that with your cell phone, and what you have is an indirect public-private partnership to create a digital ID. You would now have a digital ID. That's what's happening. So when Abbott signed this is the first step to creating digital ID on a national scale. We are moving quickly towards a public-private partnership that will facilitate digital ID and full track and trace. They're doing it creatively because Americans don't want it. We don't want digital ID, and if they tried to pass digital ID in this country without, through direct means, I mean, there's no way in hell MAGA would rise up. But instead, they're doing it through these shady backroom deals, kind of like what they're doing with, the things like trying to pass the pesticide immunity in the Farm Bill. That's another story. We'll talk about that another day. Folks, this is incredibly bad. Incredibly bad. This is digital ID. I mean, we're doing it. It's coming. Agenda 2030 is moving full speed ahead in this country. It's happening, and it's being ushered in through the Republicans. Trump and his digital ID, his Real ID. I mean, that's what it is, right? Texas pulls this in, and what you've got is an indirect digital identification. It's not good. It's not Republican. It's certainly not MAGA, and it is absolutely what's happening. All right, let's we got to move on here. I want to move on to something a little bit more lighthearted. AOC, the dumbest member of Congress. I want to play this clip for you guys, and I just want to let it speak for itself. This is an incredibly Ben, let's bring this idiot up on screen, who the Democrats are going to probably have run for president. Let's listen to this moron.
And it is clear to communicate that as an individual. Now, to the question earlier as well, when they talk about Republicans and their success online, they have been successful because they have also been very clear, especially digitally, about what they believe. That women are inferior, they do not deserve equal rights. That they believe that LGBTQ Americans are subhuman. That they believe and are circulating disgusting racial and white supremacist messaging that they are able to get away with digitally and online. And they are able to radicalize and target and exploit a generation of young boys, in particular, away from healthy masculinity and into an insecure masculinity that requires the domination of others.
Hey, AOC, I'm pretty healthy and secure in my masculinity, and I just as soon mushroom stamp your forehead as listen to you for 2 seconds.
They are resonating online because they are appealing to the most basest and worst parts of human nature to divide us. And why to divide us? So that the same people who own those platforms, people like Elon Musk, Peter Thiel, Mark Zuckerberg, that these people can continue to get away with highway robbery in tax cuts and in order to fleece all of our pockets, cut our health care, keep our wages low so that we remain fighting amongst ourselves while they make themselves richer. And so in order for us to fight back against that, we must be clear about what we believe, have strong beliefs, and also be completely unwilling to bow to that kind of division and stand in solidarity with one another, especially when it is someone whose culture is different from ours or whose background we may not entirely understand, but that we honor, love, and see as our fellow Americans.
I don't honor, love, or see her. She's a moron.
Silly
she's a
woman.
moron. She's a buffoon. What you got, Ben?
Shut up, silly woman.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I don't know what else to say. This woman is a moron. Anyone that doesn't believe like her, she wants censored. I mean, women are inferior? What is this from? Listen, And then you're going to insult me for being a man? Piss off, wench. How's that for toxic masculinity? Let me tell you what, AOC is garbage. She's garbage. Let me get my toxic masculine rant on. If my son brought home a girl like AOC, I'd biff my son in the head. How about that? Yeah, I mean, can someone, folks, can someone put AOC where she belongs in the kitchen? Okay. I'm joking. I don't know who let her out of the kitchen. No. Okay, I'm sorry. Folks, this is unbelievable. If you don't believe like AOC, you're evil, you're awful, and you should be censored is essentially what she's saying. And this woman is just garbage, and yet somehow they're going to run her for president. I don't know. What can I say about this? I want to promote toxic masculinity everywhere I can. Anybody who is in favor of toxic masculinity, please let me know. Folks, this is just an incredible thing. When I listen to this, I don't know. Some days I feel like it's kind of hopeless, right? Now, interestingly enough, while AOC is bitching about some of these guys, she might not be wrong about everything. She is. She's literally wrong about everything. But I also don't know that some of the people she's talking about are necessarily good guys. Sam Altman, OpenAI, we're seeing a bunch of reports about them basically using their bazillions of dollars to attack anybody who's questioning anything related to OpenAI. We need to have a conversation about AI, including OpenAI, including Grok, including every one of these AIs that are out there, except maybe Enoch. I like what Mike Adams has done, but we got to talk about AI a bit, folks. AI is, it's becoming self-aware. It's growing. It's doing a bunch of things. And it's really it's a terrifying prospect. With the AI, we're creating a presence and a knowledge and a artificial consciousness, if you will, that's wiser and smarter and better than us. And it's got no soul, right? So there's an interesting article that was it from Epoch Times talking about AI, and Jack Clark, who was a co-founder of an AI company, was talking about this, and he says, quote, "My own experience is these AI systems get smarter and smarter. They develop more and more complicated goals. When these goals aren't absolutely aligned with both our preferences and the right context, the AI systems will behave strangely." So he says that he's deeply afraid. Now, this is a guy who is doing this, right? Now, he talks about, he gives us an example, an AI that they did. This is back in 2016, they created this, right? All right. So this is an AI from 2016. And the AI's purpose was to navigate a boat on a race course in a video game. And so the goal was to navigate the boat through the race course in the video game, right? And so the AI, instead of piloting the boat to finish the race, the AI decided that its goal was to get the most points possible, and so it would just run all over the racetrack, hitting barrels to score points, and it would even then crash and blow itself up, so it could run over the barrels again and get more points. So this is from Clark, quote, "And then it would do this in perpetuity, never finishing the race. The boat was willing to keep setting itself on fire and spinning in circles as long as it obtained its goal, which was high score." Right? Now, the purpose of the AI was to pilot and finish the race with maximum points, but it didn't do that. AI it's goal driven, it's goal oriented, and it doesn't care how it gets there. And it has infinite thought process and infinite power and infinite computing power to figure out how to get there. how does that align with humanity? How are you going to create something that's basically got infinite power, infinite knowledge, and then define its purpose in a way that's going to align with our purpose? We don't even know what our purpose is. What's the purpose of humanity? I mean, short of serving God, I mean, it's the only thing we should, but even that, you create an AI to do that, and what do? You got an AI that's going to take your freedoms. It's going to try and force it, because how else is it going to do that? Everything about AI is dangerous. And so, we see this thing going on because a lot of guys are getting so rich off AI, and everybody knows that it's coming. There's nothing we can do. The horse is out of the barn. But these guys are just pushing down the road, and nobody's talking about ethics or law. It's really the Wild West. It's a terrifying thing. So I don't know. The AI stuff's coming. I think it's another thing that's scary. And when you look at stuff, coupling that with things like digital ID, like what's happening in Texas, it's downright scary. So we got a lot of things going on. We need your support. TomRenz.com, TomRenz.com, GiveSendGo.com/RenzLaw, GiveSendGo.com/RenzLaw. Whole lot more I need to talk about, but we're out of time for the day. So please support us. Please share. Please get the show out there. And hey, make your neighbors aware of what's going on. I'm really concerned about the Civil War situation, stuff going on. Appreciate you guys listening. I think we're coming back tomorrow. I think we're going to be running the show early tomorrow. So we're going to be shooting for a 1 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to get back to the normal time here on Monday, but tomorrow we got some stuff going on. We got to do this early, so I'm going to try and get an early show in. Thanks for watching, guys. We will be back very soon.
Thank you for watching the Tom Renz Show. Join us live Monday through Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern, putting an axe in the skull of tyranny.
The MAGA revolution in cryptocurrency is here, reclaiming financial freedom for every American. Tired of globalist banks and deep state control? Blockchain is our weapon for sovereignty. Be a step ahead with Animus AI technology. Ranked #1 worldwide, exclusively available through Block Trust IRA. But beware, the wild ride volatility and scams lurk. Yet, with Trump-era policies like the Genius Act, we're tokenizing prosperity for veterans and the heartland. Globalist elites are panicking as leftist-controlled banks scrabble in the dust as MAGA investors access revolutionary technology. Reclaim your freedom with Block Trust IRA.
Join the fight to protect your wealth. Go to TomRenzCrypto.com and talk to Block Trust IRA now.
Listen live to The Tom Renz Show Monday through Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern.